Welcome back to Talk Tickers. You know, we love to break down these earnings calls, and today we're diving deep into Micron's Q1 2025 numbers.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot to unpack.
I feel like the market doesn't really know what to make of it, to be honest.
Yeah, on one hand, record revenue, on the other, the stock price is down after hours trading.
Right, so which way is it going to go?
Yeah.
But I guess that's why we're here, right?
That's right. We're here to figure out what it all means.
Exactly.
So just to set the scene for anyone who might not know, Micron is a major player in the memory chip market.
Yeah.
You know, all those DRAM chips, NAND chips, SSDs.
Those are important.
Absolutely. Those are in everything, smartphones to the big data centers running AI.
Okay, so we know they're a big deal, but what's going on with Micron specifically?
Well, just looking at revenue, they crushed it.
Really?
Yeah, they brought in a record $8.7 billion.
Wow.
Which is up 84% year over year.
Wow, that's got to be good for the stock price, right?
Well, we'll get to that, but the real story here is their data center business.
Okay, yeah. AI.
Exactly. They're seeing huge growth in that segment, over 400% growth.
400%.
Yeah, it's massive, and that's where they're making those specialized chips for AI applications.
So they're going all in on AI.
It seems so, and it's working out for them. Data center revenue now makes up more than half of Micron's total business.
Wow, more than half.
More than half. Yeah, they've really shifted their focus and it's paying off. But
There's always a but.
there's always a but. Their biggest data center client accounts for 13% of their revenue.
Okay, that's a lot riding on one customer.
It is for sure. But let's talk about this HBM thing everyone's buzzing about.
Yeah, what is so special about that?
So high bandwidth memory, or HBM, is essential for AI and data centers. Basically, it allows data to be processed insanely fast.
That's what they need for these AI applications.
Exactly. It removes those bottlenecks that traditional memory creates.
Go like a superhighway for data.
Yeah, perfect analogy. And get this, Micron's HBM revenue more than doubled this quarter.
Wow, and I remember they were already ahead of schedule on this.
Way ahead of schedule. And they're predicting that the HBM market will be bigger than the entire DRAM market by 2030.
Bigger than all DRAM by 2030. That's a bold prediction.
It is, but they're the leader in HBM technology right now. Their HBM3 chips are what's powering NVIDIA's most advanced platforms.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I think they said they had some other big customers coming online, too.
Yeah, they're already shipping to 2 other major customers with a 3rd one coming online soon.
So they're trying to dominate this market.
They definitely are, but we can't ignore the fact that Micron's stock took a 16% dive after hours.
Yeah, what's up with that? What happened?
It all comes down to their Q2 forecast, which wasn't as good as investors were hoping for. They're saying there's going to be some softening in demand, especially in the PC and smartphone markets.
Oh, right. The post-pandemic tech slump everyone's talking about.
Exactly. People just aren't upgrading their devices as quickly, and that means there's a buildup of inventory. So the companies that buy Micron's chips are kind of waiting to place new orders until they clear out what they already have.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like after a big holiday meal, you got to digest before you can eat more.
Exactly.
But isn't AI supposed to like offset that?
It absolutely will long term, but the huge surge in demand for data center storage that everyone's expecting it hasn't happened yet.
So still some uncertainty there.
For sure. But Micron is confident this is temporary. They're still expecting a strong second half of the fiscal year.
So they think it'll bounce back.
That's what they're saying. And they're not just waiting around for the market to shift. They've got a plan.
Okay. I like a good plan.
So they're focusing on DRAM and HBM production, you know, the areas where they see the most potential growth, but they're cutting back on NAND production.
Right, because that market is kind of oversupplied.
Exactly. No point in producing more of what's not selling.
So they're doubling down on what's working. And I remember reading that they're ramping up production of their most advanced chips.
Yeah, they're 1 beta and 1 gamma technologies.
Yeah, those ones. So what about China? They're trying to get into the memory chip market too, right?
Yeah, that's right. Micron mentioned increasing competition from them.
So how worried should we be?
Well, for now, it seems like they're mostly focused on older technology and those lower-end products, you know, the stuff within the Chinese market itself.
Okay, so not really a threat to Micron's high-end stuff yet.
Not yet, but it's something to watch for sure.
So they're moving away from that anyway,
Yeah.
right? I think they said only 10% of their revenue is expected to come from that older generation DRAM.
Yeah, they're all about the high-performance, high-margin stuff.
Right. Makes sense. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Record, revenue, AI dominance, a stock dip, and China lurking in the background.
That's a good summary.
It's a lot to process. But before we go any further, let's have some fun with our "This is not financial advices" segment.
Everyone's favorite.
Okay.
So you're ready to dive deeper into this whole high bandwidth memory thing?
Yeah, let's get into the nitty-gritty. In part one, we talked about how Micron's betting big on HBM, but to be honest with you, I still don't really get it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's try and break it down. Imagine you're trying to train one of those huge AI models. You know, the ones that can understand language like we're doing right now.
Oh, okay. So like teaching a computer to think like a human.
Well, kind of, but to do that, you need a ton of data, and that data has to be processed super fast. That's where HBM comes in.
Yeah.
It's this special type of memory that's right next to the processor, so it can access information really quickly.
So it's all about speed.
Speed and efficiency. Think of it like this traditional memory is like having to go to the library across town to get a book.
Every time you need a piece of information.
Yeah, exactly. You got to go find the book, check it out, bring it back. It's a whole thing.
That sounds slow.
Yeah, it is. But with HBM, it's like having all the books right there in your house.
Okay, I see.
No more bottlenecking. The AI can process information super fast, and the faster the processing, the faster the AI can learn.
Makes sense. So how is Micron's HBM different from everyone else's?
Well, they're really pushing the boundaries here. Their HBM3E technology is powering some of the most advanced AI platforms out there, like NVIDIA's top platforms.
I think they said they're already working on HBM4 too.
Right, that's coming out in 2026, and it's going to be even faster and even more efficient.
Oh, wow. What's so different about HBM4?
Well, HBM4 is going to do some cool stuff like letting customers customize the chips to fit their needs.
So it's like tailor-made chips.
Yeah, exactly. And that could be huge for them financially because now they're not just selling chips, they're selling solutions.
Right. Okay, so they're a leader in HBM, but can they really hit that target of HBM being bigger than DRAM by 2030?
It's a big goal, but it might not be as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah.
Think about all the ways AI is being used. Self-driving cars, personalized medicine, robots, all of that needs a ton of data to be processed in real time.
So HBM could be everywhere in a few years.
Exactly. If Micron can stay ahead of the game and ride this AI wave, their future is looking pretty good.
Of course there are risks, right?
Always. Competition in this market is fierce. Other companies are also working on HBM, so Micron can't just sit back and relax.
What about China? They want to be a big player in the memory chip market too.
They do, and it's definitely something to watch, but like we said before, they're mostly focused on the older technology right now.
Right. They haven't really figured out the high-performance stuff yet.
Not yet, so it's kind of like a race to the finish line.
High stakes.
Huge stakes. Whoever wins this race controls a big part of the AI revolution.
Okay, so we've talked about HBM, why it's important for AI, and how Micron's leading the pack.
And we've talked about the potential for this technology and the risks that come with it.
So now that we've really dug into HBM, I think in part 3 we should talk about what this all means for the tech industry as a whole. All right, so we're back. And I feel like we've learned a lot about Micron and HBM.
Yeah, for sure. But I think it's time to step back and look at the bigger picture.
Right, like what does this all mean for the tech industry?
Micron's story is really a snapshot of what's happening across the whole tech sector. We're at this turning point, you know?
Yeah, it feels like things are changing so fast.
Exactly. And it's all being driven by AI, artificial intelligence.
Everyone's talking about it, but honestly, I still don't think people realize how big this is going to be.
I know, right? It has the potential to change pretty much every industry out there.
Healthcare, transportation, even entertainment.
Exactly. We're going to see completely new markets popping up and old ones getting completely reinvented.
And Micron's right in the middle of it all.
They are. With their HBM, they're basically providing the fuel for this AI engine.
So their earnings call wasn't just about Micron, it was about the future of AI.
It was, and that's why investors are so focused on it, because it gives us a glimpse of how this AI boom is actually playing out in the real world.
But then there's that disconnect, right? We have record revenue, but the stock price is down.
Yeah, and that's because the market's still trying to figure things out. There's a ton of excitement about AI, but there are also a lot of questions.
Like, how fast is this technology going to develop, and which companies are going to be the winners?
And what about China?
Right. They're trying to get in on the action, too.
Exactly. So there's a lot of uncertainty, and that leads to volatility, like we saw with Micron's stock.
Makes sense. So in the short term, yeah, there are worries about things like inventory and the global economy slowing down.
But long term, the AI story is still super strong.
So it's a tough call for investors.
It is. They got to weigh those short-term worries against that long-term vision.
Which is where a deep dive like this comes in handy.
Right. We try to break it all down and give you the information you need to make sense of it all.
Okay, so speaking of information, let's wrap things up with our This is not financial advice's segment.
All right, let's get a little crazy.
Remember, this is just for fun.
This is purely hypothetical.
Okay, so Micron stock is down right now because of short-term worries.
Right.
But they're the big player in HBM, and HBM is going to explode when AI really takes off.
So what are you thinking?
What if we buy some Micron stock now while it's cheap and bet that it'll bounce back big time when everyone realizes how important HBM is?
Interesting. But there's always risk, right?
Of course, always risk.
Inventory could stay high for longer than they're saying.
Right.
And what if China gets better at making high-performance memory chips?
True. But that's what makes the market fun.
Yeah, you got to take some risks sometimes.
All right. So there you have it, folks, our deep dive into Micron's earnings call.
Hope you learned something.
And maybe even got some ideas for your portfolio. But seriously, don't take our advice.
They are not financial advisors.
Thanks for joining us on Talk Tickers, and we'll see you next week for another exciting deep dive into the world of earnings calls.